Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
And I'm Mike.
Today we are here again, once again, to talk to you about some good theology that we found in a song.
Specifically, we're going to talk about making a connection.
That's right. I was working the other day on some chores, and I like to just play music while I was doing it, and I came across this song. It is entitled "Connection," and it is by the band OneRepublic. And I'm listening to the words as the song's going along, and I'm like, for a secular band singing a song that's not really about anything religious in particular, he really kind of hits the nail on the head.
Well, I mean, that's a common mistake that we make, thinking, well, he's just not doing anything at all religious, forgetting that man is by his very nature a religious creature.
Sure, and we're all drawn to those transcendentals of the good, the true, and the beautiful, and wherever they are, therein lies at least some part God.
Even if unacknowledged.
Even if it's unacknowledged.
Yep.
So anyways, I'm listening to the words of the song, and I'm just going to share a little bit of it here with you. These days my waves get lost in the oceans. Sent up a flare, I need love and devotion. Traded for some faces that I never know notion. Maybe I should try to find the old me. Take me to the places and the people that know me. If there's so many people here, then why am I so lonely? See, and I was listening to this song, and this clearly is an individual who's experiencing one of those dark nights, if you will. They're clearly at a low point.
Some existential angst.
Exactly. But I'm listening to it, and what I'm hearing is all of the theologians and apologists that I've listened to that really like to point out, we were made for communion.
And this has become something that's been really in focus this year.
Especially this year, because so many people have, due to quarantining and
social distancing,
people haven't been able to connect with others in the ways that they've been used to.
And, we here at the Popish Plot are principally a YouTube channel.
Principally.
And your favorite podcast.
That's right.
So we have no inherent objection to using the advanced technology and connecting with you, our audience, through this medium.
And at the same time, as a result of that, we've become very well versed in using the new technology to connect with people. So for us, it hasn't really necessarily been such a big thing, especially since 2/3 of us are outrageous introverts.
But as we learned during the height of the quarantines in March and April, when we had to, zoom in episodes.
Exactly.
It's not the same as this.
It really isn't. And this individual who either wrote the song or was being thought of when the song was being written,
the protagonist of the
song clearly gets that, because there are so many people here, and yet
nobody knows me.
They need that connection.
He's achieved all of his goals in life, and yet he can only think back to an earlier time and people that actually knew him.
Yeah. Even when he's in a room full of people, he's all alone.
And this is something that,
or she.
In this case,
it's being sung by a gentleman. So I'm going to assume it's a gentleman individual.
Yeah. But there's actually never a time that you're lonelier than when you're with a group of people with whom you have no real connection.
Yeah,
because then you feel the lack.
And so it brings us back to that theology of us having been made for communion. I mean, even if you go all the way back to the beginning, all the way there in Genesis, God made all this space, made the earth, the water, the mountains, the trees, all the animals and the plants,
all the crawly things,
all the creepies and the crawlies. But it was missing something.
And it was not good for the man to be alone.
And then, in trying to grasp something that was more than what was ours, we lost that other connection. And we just really need to kind of, especially in times like this where we are socially distanced and or quarantined and we're not able to connect with people in the ways that we're used to. Or for those of you who have had to shelter in place at home with your family, you have had to connect with them so much that you really just would like them to, go to another room for a little bit.
To use a phrase, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Exactly. We really need to go and focus on that connection.
Mm-hmm. Social media is fantastic. It's a tool that has provided us to form lots of connections that we could not otherwise make.
And technology allows us to interact instantly in ways that we never could prior to having had it. Texting, email, things like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we've lost some personality in that connection.
And this is not in any way an anti-technology rant on our part, but it doesn't matter how many friends or followers you have on the social media. What matters is how many real friends you have. I mean, I'm extremely blessed to be welcomed into Nate and Jess's home and to have them as friends. Hmm? Friends who are willing to call me out when I'm doing something I ought not, when I'm falling short of what God has created me to be, and vice versa. Whereas in a world of, just curated experiences and
140 character conversations,
and everything run through, all of your photographs run through a filter so that they look just exquisite, how much of a connection are we really making? Real connection comes when you open up, you let somebody in. You have to be vulnerable around them to show them that, you're not as strong as you sometimes pretend to be.
Yeah.
You're not as perfect as your Instagram feed would lead people to believe.
It's a lot easier to connect with a human than it is to connect with a hero. And if all anybody ever sees of you is the hero, they're not ever seeing the human. It reminds me of another thing I've heard some people talk about, which is that, essentially all human beings want really two things: to be known mm-hmm. and to be loved. Mm-hmm. And you were mentioning all those Facebook friends or followers you might have, and the point that they make is that anytime you've got only one of those two, mm-hmm. what you've got is actually something quite unpleasant. Because to be known by another, but not to be loved,
then you feel judged.
Exactly. But at the same time, to be loved by another, but not to be known, that's sort of the thing that you get when you're somebody like Taylor Swift and you've got 100,000 screaming fans all in an auditorium. Mm-hmm. They all love you.
Did any of them know
But
you?
do any of them really know you? Mm-hmm. And so mm-hmm. you get, it's... Mm-hmm. We need to be known, and we need to be loved, and we need to connect.
And that last point really comes back to OneRepublic.
Yeah.
Because the fellow is singing on a stage, and yet the word that comes back time and time again is lonely.
Yeah.
Because he's loved.
He's loved, but he's not known. So, as we're nearing the end of our Advent... Mm-hmm. And we're about to head into, but it's not over yet because we got the whole Christmas season to go.
Let's not jump the gun.
Exactly. We got all the Christmas season, and then we got a little bit of ordinary time before we jump back into Lent, and we got more special things going on. Hopefully not Lent or Easter, but
I want to live. Specifically, I don't want to be murdered by your wife. So no, we're not going to do any of that.
That's right. But what I would suggest to you, your little assignment, if you will, is.
A challenge.
Yeah.
We have no authority to assign you work.
That's true.
A challenge. Should you choose to accept it?
Why don't you go through one of your many contact lists? I assume you have many because I have many. I mean, I got Facebook lists and I've got contact lists on my phone and I've got people I know on Twitter. But pick out one person from one of those lists and really reach out to them and try and make some sort of a connection. If you can't make it in person, that's understandable at this time.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, maybe they are needing the connection as much as as much as you might be needing a connection from someone else.
Mm-hmm. just do this prayerfully, and maybe the Lord will specifically bring someone to your attention who needs that connection.
Absolutely. Start out with a little prayer. Pray about who God might want to put in your path today, and go out and find that one person, however you can. Phone call, text, email, instant message, what have you. But just try and make a connection with that person, because there are so many people out there, and yet we're all still so lonely.
And especially at this time of year, when there are so many pop cultural messages telling us about, close connections and ideal homes and this, that, people now more than ever, especially as, the nights get really long and there's a lot more literal darkness, now people need that connection more than ever.
So, along with doing that, go down below and hit the subscribe button, the bell next to it, so you get notified when the next episode comes up. Make sure to hit that little thumbs up, so you give us a like, because you're decent people, and why not?
Because you're not against connection.
You're not against making a connection with somebody. And until next time, remember to live your faith,
love your faith,
and share that love.